Hello, I am Sheikh Said Hussain and I am a PS Master Trainer. Today I will be speaking about barrier to communication. I highlighted the concept of barrier to communication, number 1, and number 2, role play and its effect on our life. What are the barrier to communication? Barrier to communication are something that prevents us from correctly getting and aspirating the message others use to communicate their information, thoughts and ideas. Many people think that communicating is easy. It's after all something we have done all our lives. There is some truth in this simplistic view. Communicating is straightforward. What makes it complex, difficult, and frustrating are the barriers we put in their way. Barriers may lead to your message becoming distorted and you therefore risk waste both time and money by causing confusion and misunderstanding. There exist many barriers to communication, and there may occur at any stage in the communication process. A skilled communication must be aware of the barriers and try to reduce anything. We have seen what we mean by the process of communication, but at times, even after taking care of every other detail, some misunderstanding arise. So to eliminate these misunderstandings, we have to understand the most common barriers to effective communication. The skills of active listening, clarification, and reflection, which we will discuss shortly, may help, but the skilled communicator also needs to be aware of the barriers to communication. Communication barriers are at the heart of many interpersonal problems. Let us see that these barriers to communication are. Here we see that class environment is very noisy because the participants didn't understand and the facilitator also did not make understand the trainees. We identified this is the barrier to communications. What could we understand from the role play? Barrier to communication. What could we understand from the role play? Usually, everywhere create barrier for good communication. When we arise fruitful communication, firstly have to create a good environment and also remove all sort of barriers. 4 part of the barrier to communication. Number A, personal, psychological, emotions, attitude, low confidence, selective perceptions, bad listening, lack of trust, and also past experience. Number B, semantic lack of common language, poor vocabulary, poor pronunciation, and also grammar. Number C, organizational medium used length of process, hierarchy, and culture. And number D, physical noise, time, distress, and also medium. The psychological start of mind of the sender as well as that receiver makes a lot of difference when an individual is under emotions. His tone overpowers the script of the message. This creates an struggle in normal communication, leading to emotional barriers. Psychological barriers to communication are rapidly disappearing, but the psychological of struggle remain in part. They are due to the emotional character and mental limitations of a human being. Anger is another example of psychological barrier to communication. When we are angry, it is easy to say things that we may later regret and also to misinterpret what others are saying. Some components, psychological components, joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger, anticipation and joy also. And many components are there in here. Semantic lack of common language. Roar, roar, roar. Meow. Different language can express the feelings with each other. Every language consists of symbols used to transmit meaning from one person to another. The barriers are from the linguistic capability of the individual involved in the communication. When communicating in the same language, the terminology used in a message may act as a barrier if it is not fully understood by the receivers. We must remember to use the language that can be understood by the receiver. Organizational medium, some components are there in here. A superior may withhold or suppress communication if he thinks that a particular communication may adversely affect his authority. When these facilitators are adequately affected to the employee, then the communication is said to be timely, accurate, and according to the needs. Whereas, in the absence of such facilities, the communication may get adversely affected. When the employees interact with each other in such a way that to results in the overall improvement in the self as well as the organizations. The physical barriers may result from individuals' personal comfort. Psychological barriers may from personal discomfort caused, for example, by ill health, poor eye, sight or hearing difficulties. Although modern technology often serves to reduce the impact of physical barriers, the advantages and disadvantages of each communication channel should be understood so that an appropriate channel can be used to overcome the physical barriers. Human memory can't function beyond a limit. Physical distractions are the physical things that get in the way of communication. If sometimes the personal problems such as worries and stress about a chronic illness, it may impinge his or her communication with others. Social barriers to communication include the social psychological phenomenon of conformity, a process. Individual linguistic ability may sometimes become a barrier to communication. Clear planning and structure information, overload, timing, technology, and stress, status, difference are the organizational factors that may act as a barriers to communication. Often in organization, the target have to be achieved with a specified time period. Effective communication starts with a clear message. Unclear message is Terms of meaning, grammar, and words may act as a barrier to communication. At last, we must say good communication always resists by different aspects, such as noisy environment, long distance between with each other, language, low voice, and any other things is that. As living beings, we need to express and understand the expressions of others. Like it or not, human society thrives on communication. Civilizations have risen and fallen based upon how good they were at maintaining sound relations with the rest of the world. All we need in some effort on our part to identify and avoid barriers to communication, to make our lives and the lives of those around us better. Thank you.